Dead by Daylight has long been marketed by Behavior as the Hall of Fame of horror, but it has always irked me to define it as such. Yes, we have staples like Ghostface, Leatherface, Furnace Face, Currently Not For Sale Face, and the latest milestone edition of Jason. But these are icons of what are nowadays, sadly enough for a man of my age, considered to be classic horror, the new age slashers of the 70s and 80s. For me, classic horror has always meant the golden age of horror, from the origins of film all the way up to the psychological thriller era of the 60s. I guess these would now be considered vintage horror, and I'm already planning an overview of these eras and what they could bring to Dead by Daylight, but no license from this period stands out more than Universal's classic monsters. Dracula, Frankenstein's monster, Wolfman. Matthew Cote was once asked about these icons and responded that if they were to cover these horror staples, they would try to do their own interpretation. However, just a few weeks ago, 3 of these Universal monsters showed up on a Dead by Daylight franchise survey. Both Frankenstein's monster and Invisible Man were on here, but the third option sticks out like a sore thumb and may very well be in the pipeline as we speak. The Mummy. First risen in 1932 and resurrected in 1999. This is Fungi Gamer here with a Dead by Daylight concept for Imhotep, the Mummy. When it comes to Universal Classic monsters, I presume Behavior is keen to choose one that they couldn't easily utilize with a license or original character or cosmetic. Dracula had an incarnation through Castlevania, Gilman had an incarnation through a sick hag cosmetic, and a weird beast of some sort is a certain shoo-in for an original chapter, so much so that it was dangled as an option for the Grimoire Choose Your Own Chapter project. The survey options of Frankenstein's monster, Invisible Man, and Mummy make sense in the regard that all 3 I can see coming as part of a potential licensed chapter. But both of these franchises haven't done the best at the box office in recent years, at least not as potential franchises. However, when The Mummy was rebooted in 1999, it was a huge resurgence that, frankly, is something that Universal has been trying to replicate ever since. The Mummy got a movie with theme park presence in an HHN scarehouse as well as a ride that exists to this very day, a great sequel, a cartoon spin-off of the sequel, the obligatory third film that flopped, and the obligatory reboot attempt that resulted in most people agreeing that there should have just been a 4th film. And now a 4th film. This last bit cements just why this is a perfect fit. It caters to nostalgia, it builds off of the existing relationship that they've been building with Universal through the Chucky license since November of 2023, there's a new movie tie-in opportunity, The Mummy specifically has been on every single franchise survey, and the timing is perfect. It takes Behavior about 2 years to create a license, and factoring in the continued support for the Chucky license cosmetics from Halloween 2025 onward, we know that the companies have stayed in touch. We know that Universal is down with more content, and we know that Mummy 4 is, pun intended, wrapping up filming soon and slated for release October 2027. That leaves plenty of time for Behavior to have already had the discussions and started planning for the usual August-September release for 2027. But if it is slated for next fall, then surely they would have been teasing it soon, right? They do like to leave little hints about a few months ahead of time. Well, we're getting a new riff soon, Sunflesh, with a brand new cosmetic theme, based on desert imagery. So yeah, I do think we need to keep an eye out for this license in the near future. But what would this chapter bring? The Survivor, Rick O'Connell. Rick, the protagonist of the 1999 film, is the obvious choice for the Survivorette. I'm sure the mere thought of Brendan Fraser or his DVD Stunt Double being in the game is a reward in itself for any 90s kid. As a former French Foreign Legion member and a later affiliate with the Medjai, his combat prowess would likely lead to some good new bold perks to irk killers. I can imagine perks calling back to quotable moments like Wrong Side of the River, Contract Terminated, Shown the Way, No Time for Subtle, maybe even a boon Gift of the Medjai. Let me know in the comments what abilities you'd like these perks to cover. He'd have some fun legendary cosmetic options as well, particularly in his archaeological love interest, Evelyn, her bumbling brother, Jonathan, that would certainly give Dwight's and Leon's globally a run for their money in the department of terrible solo queue partners, and lastly, the Medjai Ardith Bey would add some badassery to the table. Throw in a couple cosmetics for Rick himself from across the films and the TV series and you're good to go. Of course, the foil to Rick would be the killer, Imhotep the Mummy. The killer is the Mummy. I mean, it's the name of the franchise and film. Who else could it be? Actually, through a few legendary cosmetics, it could be a number of people. For the real OG fans like myself who harken back to the golden age of cinema, a 1932 Ardith Bey cosmetic that brings Boris Karloff into the entity's realm would be an amazing addition. Furthermore, while the 2017 reboot wasn't well received, the mummy Amonet from that film would be a fun legendary to have. But I'm getting off base. We're talking first and foremost about the 1999 adaptation of the icon and the powers he possesses through the Curse of Hamdai. Like the Lich, he could cycle through these curses or plagues to suit the situation. Curse of Scarabs could allow you to either release a wave of scarabs that run along walls, or generate a tower of scarabs that extend out from the center in some pattern. Curse of Flies or Locusts could allow you to trap generators, requiring survivors an additional 5 seconds to remove the insects before they can repair the generator. Curse of Storms could allow you to transform into the iconic Sandstorm face and barrel through the map, but only able to injure and not down survivors, akin to killers like the Ghoul. Finally, Curse of Darkness could be a buildable meter that powers up your abilities for a limited time. Scarabs could fire in a new double helix pattern, or in a large circle if the tower is used. Insects could be hidden or cause screams, or the hinder status effect. And storms could be faster or gain the ability to down. The canopic jar element of his regeneration in the film could also be used as either a new tokened hex perk like Devour Hope or Pentimento, and his ability to suck the life force out of survivors would be a good choice for a Mori. With the life force element reserved for the Mori, this opens up his cosmetics to various forms of life force, from undead Imhotep all the way to fresh Imhotep, and my personal favorite, the masked Imhotep seen briefly in the first 2 films. As for a weapon, look, I already know I acknowledge the resemblance to the Lich, but the sacrificial dagger from the end of the first film would work well for him. If we really don't want to give another killer a dagger, I suppose we could have him short-range life drain from his palm, or maybe have a short-range swarm of flies cause injury similar to the Onryo's curse. But what's a license without the potential for a fun map? There are 2 that I can imagine would work pretty well, both in the Forsaken Boneyard realm, purely so that some of the assets for the generic stone tiles could be carried over, even if the current maps there are Chilean in nature. The most obvious choice is Hamunaptra, the City of the Dead, where Imhotep's sarcophagus is found. The map would probably be similar to the Forgotten Runes map for the Dungeons & Dragons chapter, with a ground floor with desert runes as well as an expansive underground floor. The underground tomb would feature iconic rooms like the Treasure Room, the Mirror Room, the Sacrificial Chamber, and the dozens of booby-trapped hieroglyphs on the hallway walls. Or if we wanted to take a different route, I feel like the Museum of Antiquities featured in the first film would be another good choice. The outer tiles may need to be a bit more attuned to the city, but the museum itself would be the centerpiece, and a museum is a theme we are sorely lacking in the game. It could have the library archives, the antique showroom, and the curator's office, as well as the overhead balcony and the stairwell. As with any museum map concept, I would like to be able to read some of the plaques and find out a little bit of history. You know, make the museum fully functional and educational as can be. So there's a brief concept for The Mummy in Dead by Daylight. I do think that we're going to be getting this sooner rather than later, and it's something that I haven't heard a lot of people talking about. So please, like the video, share it with others, subscribe for future concepts and ideas, And let me know in the comments below what kind of content from the Mummy you would like to see in Dead by Daylight. Okay, so post-production fungi here quick. I'm late to getting this video up and kinda glad I am. I recorded this on Friday, the 17th of July, and now it's Tuesday the 21st. The new Sunflesh Rift has released alongside its trailer, and it further cements my teaser theory. Here's a still or two from The Mummy, during the climax when Imhotep brings the Plague of Darkness across Egypt. Now here's a still or two from the new Rift trailer. Look, I know this can be easily written off as biblical references, the Plague of Darkness, but come on, this has got to be a clue, right? Let me know your thoughts below, and I'll see you in the fog. I'm also just going to let this gameplay play out here. Yeah, we had a very good match here. Feel bad for the Trapper here. He did pretty well. All things considered, I guess. That new perk that I'm using... Oh, wait, no, I wasn't using it in this one. Okay, never mind that. He's just bad, I guess. Alright, so... everybody have a good day. Enjoy. I hope that the Mummy chapter ends up being good. I'm pretty sure the audio ended at some point here, or the video ended, rather. No, it's still going on. Okay, alright, now everybody's coming out. We got Bill, he's out, all three of us out. And then now Cheryl is coming out. So, yeah, good match. Have a good night. Bye.